I'm Jennifer Purcell, and welcome to my podcast, Living with an Invisible Learning Challenge, where we will discuss, discover, and learn more about the challenges and triumphs of those with NLD and other learning challenges. I do have a website for this podcast, and it is called livingwithnld.com. I also have a Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter account for the podcast. They are all under the same name, which is Living with NLD. I also have a YouTube channel for the podcast, which can be found by Googling the title of the podcast, which is Living with an Invisible Learning Challenge. I would like to tell you about a nonprofit that I use for my research for this podcast. It is called the NLD Project, and I use their blog for my research. They are a nonprofit that is based in New York and is trying to get NVLD back on the DSM, and they provide many resources for people with NVLD on their website. I'll provide you with the website for them in the podcast description. All proceeds from the ads on this podcast will be donated towards the NVLD project. Please feel free to explore the other topics on the podcast, and hopefully you will learn something new from them. I hope you enjoy today's episodes. To access the testimonials, there are two ways. There's a testimonial page with the full quotes, and then there is a slideshow on the home page with excerpts of the longer ones and the short ones. On the last image of the testimonial quote with Julia's quote, you can click on it and it will take you to the testimonial page where it shows you all of them with the full quoted testimonials. I did it that way because I wanted it to be easier to read on the home page, since some of them were a little longer than a testimonial usually is. And then I wanted to make sure that you could see the whole testimonial on the testimonial page. So I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, you can email me at livingwithnld@gmail.com and I will try to show you how to access it. Thank you. Hope you're having a good weekend. Bye. The next Facebook chat for people with NVLD and the people who support them, and also people with other learning challenges like ADHD, will be in January on the third Saturday, which is going to be January 15th, and that will be at 10 a.m. Pacific time zone, and it usually goes until 11:30. Sometimes I end it sooner depending on my schedule of the day. And basically that is a group where you can talk about anything you want to, and it is a safe space for you to talk about challenges related to the learning disability that you have or related to your life. And I invite you to come to it by emailing me at livingwithnld@gmail.com or going to Living with NLD on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter and letting me know that you are going to be coming by messaging me. Thank you. And again, it is in January on the 15th, which is the third Saturday of the month at 10 a.m. Pacific time zone. Thanks. So I didn't reach my goal for the NLD Project Fundraiser that I was doing last week. I got to $545, but I'm still happy with being able to raise money for them and being able to have people contribute and raise more awareness about them, and being able to have people be more aware about what NLD is and increase their understanding about it. So even though I didn't reach the goal, I'm happy with the results, and I am grateful that people did contribute to the fundraiser. And I hope that everybody has a good new year and a good 2022. So today's episode is about how to separate NLD from who you truly are. Do you ever have challenges for separating yourself from the learning challenge that you have, or from NLD, or from the symptoms you have because of having it? I know I do. I know sometimes it's hard for me to know what parts are related to NLD and what parts aren't. And by parts, I mean parts of me or personality. Like, is the personality I have because of NLD, or just because of how it's molded me and changed my life? What parts of my character are related to NLD and what parts aren't? I think the literalness, not picking up social cues or body language, are also having challenges with speaking up for myself or describing my emotions. I do think that the pieces that exist because of having NLD are my determination, patience, advocacy, vulnerability, authenticity, and courageousness. I also know that I am empathetic for neurodiverse people. I also empathetic towards those who have gone through similar things to what I have gone through, because I know what it's like to go through challenging things. Please go to the episode, Is It You, Me, or NVLD? That is Linda Carozza's material. She is, quote, a former special educational teacher with over 25 years of experience in the areas of learning disabilities, ADHD, social emotional learning, social skills training, and behavior management, end quote. Quote, down in the trenches, my life with nonverbal learning disorder. This article talks about Rick's life with NLD and Asperger's. It addresses how his challenges started from day one and that he lives with his dad. I live with my parents too, so I can relate to Rick because my challenges existed even before I was diagnosed with NLD in college. I've talked about many of them on this podcast. It's hard for me to imagine living on my own and being successful doing it, even though that's one of my dreams, and that if that happened to me, it would make me cry happy tears. Here's another article from The Mighty, which is a social network where people can blog about their challenges that they have. They have blogs about topics including migraines, learning challenges, physical challenges, other personal problems as well. The following article is about what people think NLD is and what it is actually. What my nonverbal learning disability is not, by Katie D. Quote, a choice no one would choose, a disorder that can lead to anxiety, depression, trauma, low self-esteem, limited independence, and impacts pretty much every aspect of life. If I were capable of making better choices, in quotes, being the least bit coordinated, driving myself, not getting lost constantly, writing legibly, or maintaining relationships without extra effort, I would do so, end quote. Having NLD or anything learning or physical challenge disability is not a choice. Usually you're born with it, or it happens because of being born prematurely or a childhood trauma. Whatever the reason or cause of your learning or physical challenge, I want you to know that you are not alone, because there are others out there who have similar challenges or issues like you and me. I have NLD, and I'm not sure if I have dyslexia or not, and chronic migraines. I feel like I have 2 learning challenges and 1 physical because my migraines do impact my life so much that sometimes I can't do simple things well, like reading the podcast script, talking, thinking, recalling memories, or driving. Sometimes, yes, it sucks to have so many challenges in life, but other times it's a blessing in disguise. It has helped me create this podcast, changed countless lives, make a difference for others like me, help alleviate people who support that are like me. And it has also changed me for the better. I am not the same woman I was before creating this podcast. I am more vulnerable, humble, grateful, thankful, thoughtful, empathetic, sympathetic, courageous, confident, have higher self-esteem, authentic, creative, honest, trustworthy, best version of myself, passionately growing, patient, understanding, flexible, experienced, skilled, open-minded, and have a growth mindset. I also have learned many things about myself and others with NLD and other learning challenges through creating this podcast and being more than NLD. This podcast has helped me start to separate myself from NLD, but that's still a challenging thing for me to do and might be for the rest of my life, which I'm okay with, I think. At least for now, I am. Thank you for listening to me rant about my and others' challenges today. I really appreciate being able to do this podcast and vent to my audience. I don't always vent to you guys, but I feel like I do because it's a release of my emotions and my challenges that I'm going through. And I hope that it helps you, even though I don't know who I'm talking to. I mean, I know some of you guys because I've met you through the support group that I've created, but I don't know all of you. And I just hope that it's helpful and that you can feel that you are not alone in this world and that you have somebody else out there who really cares about what you're going through and wants you to succeed in life and wants you to be successful and be able to have accomplishments that you are proud of and be able to try to have somewhat of a normal life. I know that probably not anybody has a normal life, but I think that people with NLD try to have a normal life, and that's not easy. And I think that when we try to be more neurotypical, we are not being ourselves. And I think it's better just to work through our challenges and try to make life easier by making the challenges seem not as hard, if that's possible. And anyways, I hope this podcast is helpful to you. And the question for today is the question and reminder is to be able to remember that there are others with NLD and other learning or physical challenges that have the same issues as I talk about in this episode. I would like to hear about how you separate yourself from your learning or physical challenges. Please comment on Spotify, YouTube, or livingwithnld.com, or email me at livingwithnld@gmail.com with the answer. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed this episode and learned something new today. Talk to you next Friday.
As I wrap up, there are some things I would like to share with you. I do have a website for this podcast. It is called livingwithnld.com. I also have a Facebook and Instagram page for this podcast. It is called Living with NLD. I will include the links for those in the description. In conclusion, I would like to hear from my audience. If you know individuals with NLD that I could interview for this podcast, please email me at livingwithnld@gmail.com. What are you interested in learning about NLD? I know I'm not an expert, but I do know I have the living experience of having it. I would like you to practice journaling about your gifts and differences. Also see if there is a way that you can make that difference become easier for you to do than it originally was. Thank you for listening today, and please go to my YouTube channel and subscribe to it. Thank you. Bye.